Philip Eisner. He and Gregg Hurwitz wrote a film that ended up on Netflix and was #1, starring Jason Momoa, called Sweet Girl. Thanks for being on with us.
I'm very glad to be back.
Ah, so great. So, I mean, you kind of gave me a little bit of a hint that this was going to happen the last time you were on the show. And now I got to watch the movie. It was awesome. I'm not surprised that it hit #1 on Netflix. Now, I know that this was a brainchild of you and Gregg. So if you can give me a little bit of a history of how this script came to be.
All right. So originally I was kicking around this idea, and I really wanted to have, because one of the things that always struck me, and this is something that I think's been building over time, is that when you look at criminal law, you murder somebody, you've broken the law, you get caught, you go to jail.
Yeah.
When you murder a town, the worst case scenario that could possibly happen is you get a golden parachute.
Yeah.
You look at this, really sort of, it came out of the crash of 2008, when there's all these people, and we have congressional hearings and all this stuff, and no one frickin' goes to jail.
Yeah, big bailout stuff.
Right, exactly. And it's just this thing of infuriating. It is actually infuriating when people go like, well, it's not like I murdered anybody. It's like, no, you just created economic situations across the country.
Yeah.
That led to drug addiction, murder, assault, go down the list.
Decade of poverty.
Right. You made the world a substantially worse place.
Yeah.
I would have had more respect for you if you'd murdered somebody.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like, why did you murder them? He said something bad about my mom. I'm like, that's completely ridiculous and overreacted, but at least I understand it.
Right.
You didn't do it for money.
It wasn't dispassionate. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't this thing of like, oh, whatever. So that came from my own little thing of respecting murderers and having contempt for billionaires. And like, seriously, you hit $1 billion, you're doing something wrong.
Right.
It's like, at that point, you should just be giving it away. At any rate, so I came up with this story, wrote a first act of it, and Gregg and I we go back, we're friends, we read each other's work.
Okay.
We're early readers, and really trust his judgment. And I brought it to him. He loved the first act, and then he saw I was going with it, and he's like, dude, this is so dark. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, the last thing you need is another brilliant writing sample that's too dark for anyone to ever make a movie.
Where were you going with it? Were you going like in like a Saw direction? Were you going in like a torture type of a direction, or
it was the whole thing was, the guy was going around and sort of going after rich, and again, it wasn't just because they were rich, but they were rich and had gotten away with they had done something bad that was not illegal.
Okay.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah. Okay.
It's not illegal to raise prices on insulin. It's not illegal.
Man.
However, the people who are doing that, whoever makes that decision, and I'm saying this is just on your podcast, should be shot in the head. It's just like, boom. It's like, if here's a drug that's been around forever, used to cost nothing, and now suddenly you're raising prices on insulin, on diabetics.
Yeah.
Seriously, you need to just fucking die.
Well, I carry an EpiPen, and my EpiPen, because I have some pretty bad allergies, so I carry an EpiPen. And originally it was, I want to say it was like $40. That's not too bad. And then they raised the price to like $500 at one point. I was like, this is insane. And there's people that couldn't carry their EpiPens, and I mean, it's crazy that these things can happen. But all right, so you use that as influence for this big pharma.
You can even still hear the emotions. Like, that was what was driving this character.
Yeah.
And and he's bringing his daughter along on the revenge spree. And my twist was, it's like that the detective's following him. It's like there's this guy, but there's something weird in all these videos. There's something in the corner,
right?
And it's this still little girl.
Yeah,
but she's very still. And then you finally realize, because every time you're with the guy who's doing it, it's he's talking with his daughter and they're interacting and everything. And then you realize, no, he's carrying around a mummified corpse of his daughter. He dug his daughter up. And
oh wow.
And Gregg was just like, no,
too far.
No. He's like, do you really want to make Mandy? And I'm like, I love Mandy. And he's like, yes, Mandy's a fantastic film. Mandy is also a cult movie.
Yeah.
That was made for a price.
Well, Mandy works too because it's a drug trip. So it kind of works in that genre.
Mandy works because it's fucking magnificent. But I love Mandy. I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
But yes, it is not Mandy is not conventional. It is not.
You're just into a chainsaw fight.
Right. You're not. Mandy, for those of you watching at home, Mandy is not made for people who have a conventional sense. And I apologize for the
they're listening in. That's big pharma right there.
Yeah, that's right. That's the surveillance plane. That's a billionaire surveillance plane making sure that I don't come after them. Actually, there are a couple of billionaires I do like now that I think about it. There's one guy who's funding oceanographic research, which I'm like, man, that's a good use of a billionaire. Like saying, yeah, we need to study the oceans. We're not studying the oceans enough. No one's doing it. I'll do it. Yeah, so that's okay. Anyway,
all right. So he gave you notes on it to not have that and take it into a different direction.
Right. So he gave me notes, and he really broke the story. Came up with the new twist, all of that stuff, and then I was like, wow, that's really great. But I know me, and I'll start writing. And he wasn't like, oh, I want to write it with you. He was like, we're friends. He gives me notes. It's like, do what you want. And I'm like, you want to write this with me? Because I know me, and I'll start following his notes, but I will turn back around towards my far more, the next thing you know, they're in space and people are tearing their eyes out and God knows what else will happen. And I'm like, and Gregg is really steep. First of all, he's a brilliant writer, but he understands the conventions of the thriller. Like we actually have a very similar style. Our Venn diagram overlaps enough that we work together very well. Our styles.
That's awesome.
But I'm very much steeped in horror,
and
science fiction,
right,
and action, and he's steeped very much in action and thrillers and science fiction. And he's got much more of a feeling of, this is how you craft a thriller.
So you had to give up a little bit of a creative control.
Oh yeah,
okay.
Well, we're collaborating.
That's
but awesome. A lot of it. Well, I wouldn't say it's so much creative control, but it's sort of like, I know that I don't have the instinct to write a thriller the way Gregg does.
Yeah.
I know that if I take his notes and I execute, and I follow like the map that he laid out, which I thought was great, I'm going to end up still swinging around to a horror movie.
Just because that's where you go.
That's my muscle. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I said, you want to write it with me? And he was like, and then it was like a kid in the candy store. He's like, we're at lunch, we're at this pizza place. He's just like bouncing in his chair, and he's like, I was hoping you'd say that. And then he started like really going, because this would be really cool. And so we just started, I'd do 20-page chunk, throw it at him, he'd rewrite it, and then go 20 pages further. And then I'd go back and I'd rewrite.
Oh, that's a cool process.
And we would just go back and forth. And what would happen is literally by the time we were done, we're sitting there going like, wow, that, and it's nice when you can
And it
do
was
this about your
fun,
work.
right?
Oh yeah, it was fun, but we're also going
Yeah.
like, that's a really good line. And you'd be like, yeah, of course you like that line. You wrote that line. I'm like, Greg, I didn't write that line. That's your, like, we literally
Oh,
couldn't
you hit that
remember.
simpatico moment where couldn't even, you were so in tune, you didn't know who was what. Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
we don't know who wrote which.
That's wonderful.
So it was, it was really great. And then we gave it to Gregg's agent. Gregg's agent gave it to, sent it out to 20 producers,
Wow.
and 19 passed.
Are you serious?
And 19 passed, and Jeff Fearson
It's amazing.
called us and was like, this is brilliant. I get it. I want to do it. And I know who should do it. And I'm having dinner with him on Friday, and I want to pitch it to him.
That's so great.
And we're like, yeah. No, of course we didn't say yeah. What we said was, well, I don't know, Jeff. We're still out with some other producers. We don't know if we can just,
Yeah.
No, it's like, yeah.
But I think
And
that's so important. That's so important for people listening to hear this. Like, yeah, Philip Eisner, Gregg Hurwitz, both established screenwriters, know what they're doing with hits under their belts, sent a script out to 20 producers, and 19 of them still passed. If that doesn't tell you how hard it is to get something going in the industry right there, I don't know what will.
Yeah, it is a thing. And also, I want to be very honest, I'm incredibly proud of our script. I think it absolutely kicked ass. The film did not sell because of our kick-ass script.
Yeah.
The film sold because Jeff Fearson at dinner pitched our script to Jason Momoa, who said, I want to read this.
Awesome.
Read it, slapped his hand on the table, which I saw him do, and said, we're going to do this.
It's awesome.
And Netflix bought a Jason Momoa movie.
Right.
Because let's be honest, he's coming off of Aquaman. Jason could have walked in with, you know what I really love? The comic strip Kathy. And I actually want to play Kathy. And I want to walk around going, ack, in a dress.
I want to see that, first of all.
And Jason could do it.
I think he's a really talented guy. All right, so he got this movie made, but it speaks volumes. He's fantastic in the part. He has that heart to it. There's a scene after his wife passes from cancer, because the big pharma bro pushed on the meds so that she wasn't able to afford them, because he wouldn't allow the generics to get on the market. So she passes, and then most movies they would show him hold her hand as she passed or something like that. You guys had already built up the relationship early on in the script. There was a quick callback there where he says, I'm looking at you, woman. And I'm just like, oh my God, if that is in any kind of relationship where you have those little snippets where you say to each other. And then what does he do? He just leaves the room and he walks down a hallway, and he can't find a hallway that's clear because he's too much of a man, right? Too strong of a man to show any emotion. But then he hits a point in the middle of a hallway where he can't hold it anymore, collapses in a hallway, and then lets out that wailing of misery. And I mean, that is an absolutely amazing place to watch him go there as an actor, because you haven't seen Jason Momoa go there, and he can.
It's wonderful to, I'm glad that the world finally gets to see that, like, yes, he is one of the most eminently likable people working in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yes. what's the line? He's pretty good looking for a girl. He's not a bad looking man.
He's
Not a bad looking man.
He can go beyond that tough guy exterior though, and that's what is awesome. And then that script
Exactly.
allowed him to do that, which is why I bet you he wanted to get on board with it.
Jason is an actor.
Yeah.
Jason's an actor. Jason has range. Jason can do what, you know, he can embody different roles.
It's
he's
awesome.
not just, you know, he's not a one-trick pony at all.
No, not at all.
And
so
yeah, it was, and also to give credit where credit's due, that really is, you know, a performance on his part, you know, having that, you know, just the agitation in his walk.
Yeah.
As he's moving. And I just think Brian did a magnificent job. Like it's, you know, knowing, you know, like seriously knowing how to set up that frame.
Yeah, setting that shot up. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And also create, it's a weird thing. This is like, again, this isn't a writing thing, it's a directing thing, but knowing that you're going to have a physical performance. So the frame, it's like shooting dance. You need a wide frame.
Yeah.
Because in a close frame, you're missing this. In close frame, everything's on the face. But if you want to see the agitation through the shoulders, through his breathing, in like the almost stagger walk, you've got to have it wide.
Yeah. And they take it in, and it's a beautiful performance. So from there, you know, we have the big pharma, which is great. We have, you know, manipulating, paying off people so that the generics can't happen. We have all of that. We have the revenge and the thriller aspect of it, which is fantastic. But you got me on the twist, and there's
are we saying spoiler alert now?
I don't want to go spoiler, all right. But what I want to ask you is, was that twist in there from the beginning, or was this something that organically developed?
That was Gregg's idea. That was the thing that Gregg pitched me, where I was like,
that's so awesome.
You know, it's like, dude, that totally works.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Great. All right. Because twists, you need a good twist in a film. You want to take a film or a script in a direction where people don't expect it, and that keeps them energized and keeps energy in the script itself. And when that twist shows up, please go watch this movie. You have to see this twist. You won't regret it, because you're not going to see it coming. And then at the end, you're like, oh my God. So I thought that was brilliant. But thematically, what you guys play around with is loss. And I love that. And that plays out through the father and the daughter, and how they experience loss in different ways. And I thought it was strong.
Thanks. And you know, I think so much of it always falls back to cast, and Jason does a great job, and
the young woman playing the daughter was so good.
Isabel is going to have a long, successful career with statues.
I mean, she can hold a scene next to Jason Momoa. There's a scene in the car where he's telling her to get out of the car, and she doesn't want to get out of the car. And there's just this silence there, and you let him sit with the fact that she's a teenage girl who's not going to listen to her dad.
Yeah.
And they say, fine. And then they drive away, and I was like, yes, any parent has lived that moment. And it was juicy. It was good.
Yeah. No, she's a force. I remember, you know, it was interesting. I actually saw Day of the Soldado with Gregg, and we were watching it going like, oh, she's going to be a huge star.
Oh, that's
she's
awesome.
Going to be huge. And then, you know, and now she's in our movie, and it's like, well, that's kind of awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
small town.
What was that?
It's a small town.
Yeah, that is great. It's wild, really, if you think about it. Now, do you have any? I mean, because I know you teach screenwriting, I teach screenwriting. So, do you have any suggestions for writers out there that are looking to start collaborating with somebody else?
Well, I think part of it is you need to have what I like. I actually collaborate currently. I write my own stuff, and I also have two collaborators. I collaborate with Gregg, and I
Yeah.
collaborate with a writer named Joshua Scher, who wrote Here and There, and I feel like such an asshole right now because because he had a micro budget film that just got released, and now in his novel, and it's like I want to say I want to call it After the Fall, but I'm not sure it's the right title because been so busy. I
Philip,
haven't.
you can come on my show anytime.
All right. I want to pimp Joshua's new stuff, and I'm spacing on the name, and I don't want to
It's
look
not
it up.
Philip's fault. He's been too busy with the #1
All right, no, but
Netflix
look,
film, Sweet Girl.
look. The point is, yeah, we're talking about Sweet Girl, but I just wanted to pimp Joshua's stuff. But the thing is, I always look at strengths and weaknesses,
Yeah, okay.
and like if your Venn diagram needs to overlap a lot, in the sense that the strengths that both my different writing partners bring in a different, and they both function in different ways, but I have attention deficit disorder, so my mind is bung 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 bung.
Okay.
Both of them focus me on the problem.
Oh,
Our
very
writing
good.
styles are very similar. We'll argue over words, and our initial, like whether it's Gregg's initial pass or my initial pass or Josh's initial pass, it's like they're very different. We have very different minds, but all of us agree on the nature of efficiency, because screenplays must be efficient.
Yeah.
We do not have the luxury of a novelist of
You can't waste time.
we can't waste time. And it's not that you can't find poetry, but you're going to find poetry in a short number of words.
Yeah.
There is no blah, 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 which is to say. It's like, you never say which is to say. It's like,
No. Yep.
it's like, so when we start editing, we have a commonality. Like, we're never arguing to put more words in.
Very
And
good.
so when we edit down, there's a we share this, because we share the same aesthetic.
Yeah.
We're able to argue without ego.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because there's a shared vision there.
Right. It's never about I want, my voice.
Very good.
Everything is clear in the sense that, and there are things where we'll say, well, thematically, I think this is important, but we're able to argue like we're pursuing the story, and it's not my vision, because our vision is clear. And if we argue, if there is an argument over what our vision is, then we step back from the writing and we talk, well, what is the story really about?
Very
What's
good.
the story about?
Well, Philip, I wanted to say thank you again for being on the show.
Absolutely.
You're awesome.
Oh, no, you are. You are awesome, Geoffrey.
That's the only reason why I wanted you on the show, is just so somebody could tell me I was awesome.
Yeah. Well, come on.
All right, buddy. Next time you've got something out, I would love to have you on.
Absolutely. And I look forward. I look forward to. I know you've got a second edition in the works, so I'm looking forward to that.
I've been writing like crazy, and I melted my brain. So now we are finishing up the second edition. I'm going to get notes on it and get it out to you, editor. But I will give you a sneak peek, is that I have an entire new chapter dedicated to television.
All right, which for me, like, I need that, because again, the thing with attention deficit is like, how do you write something that goes for 5 years? That's just like, I'm 90 minutes and out.
The secret would be mysteries, intrigue, and open loops. But anyway, I'm going to let you go.
All right. And I'm going to go Google open loops. So it was great talking to you.
My pleasure.